Shalom and welcome back to Israel with Aline. Today I am in a field of flowers. At first glance it may seem like an ordinary and normal place. But what if I told you that we are in the middle of the Judean desert and right next to the Dead Sea? Yes, we are seeing the area around the Dead Sea in bloom. And this is not done by human hands. It's not planted nor artificially irrigated. Today we will see amazing phenomena that are happening here in the desert. And we will try to understand their connection with the fulfillment of biblical prophecies. So if you are ready, let's get started. Today we are going on an adventure through the desert, and to accompany and guide us we have a local expert here. So everyone say shalom to Shlomi Lubaton.
Aline, shalom lekulam. Today I want to show you one of the most beautiful places you can see in the desert at the Dead Sea. We are just a few kilometers away from Qumran, which we know from the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, in a phenomenon that's happening here that has never happened before. And we see blossoms and we see life growing and thriving here. Something different that has never been here.
Exactly. Today we're going to see the life here that's literally being born in this region and try to deeply understand all these phenomena. And Shlomi, could you take us around now so we can learn a little more and really show us what's happening here at the Dead Sea? Shall we start?
Let's get started.
It's hard to explain to you how impressed I am with this place today, because I'm used to coming here often in this Dead Sea region, especially with Shlomi. And every time we come here, everything is completely dry. In this area here, there's not a single leaf, no vegetation at all. And suddenly we come here now and it's green and blooming. Of course, for those watching from tropical countries like Brazil, you'll look at this and say, oh, that's not that much vegetation. But if you consider where we are, we're in the middle of a desert, just a few meters from the Dead Sea, the saltiest place in the world. As the name suggests, the Dead Sea, this is a region that normally doesn't have life. And I even want to show you now the images you're seeing on the screen. These are images from other times, months ago, where we can see that there's nothing, no vegetation growing. And that's why it's so impressive for me to see this place like this. It's such a big contrast. And tell us a little more about what's happening here around us.
Aline, we see here many types of flowers, and you can understand that in such a small area, we can see so many types of blooms here. We see the red poppy growing here. We see the chrysanthemums, the sow thistles. We see the colorful pishtanets, which is so interesting, so colorful. And it gives us, with all the effort, a big contrast. It's a big contrast. It's a very big contrast. It's a very big contrast. It's a plant that's tasty to eat and good for you.
It's sour, guys, but it's tasty.
That's right, it's sour, but it gives your liver a cleansing. It removes toxins, the things that aren't good for us. So it's not just edible plants, but even medicinal plants.
Wow, so it's not just one species growing here. There are dozens of species growing in this area, and we can see how beautiful it is, with flowers too. And of course, all of this here reminds me of biblical passages. Mainly, what comes to my mind when I look at all of this is Isaiah 35. The desert and the dry land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom like the narcissus. It will be covered with flowers. It will shout for joy and rejoice. And physically, is that what we see here? Are we seeing a desert? starting to bloom and rejoice. But that's not the only interesting phenomenon happening here in the desert. In recent decades, we've been seeing a series of changes. Among them, here in the Dead Sea region, we see the phenomenon of bolognese, which you can see back here, these giant craters. In a few words, what is the phenomenon of bolognese? The Dead Sea is receding, and in its place, craters are opening up, which are called bolanis. And a good part of these bolognese are filling up with water, and some of them, in fact, with fresh water. And in them there is life from vegetation and animals, but mainly fish. And many see this as a prophetic phenomenon, connecting it with the fulfillment of the prophecy of Ezekiel 47. In Ezekiel's vision, waters flow down to the desert and enter the Dead Sea, healing its waters. And wherever these waters flow, there will be abundant life, fruit trees, and even fish and fishermen. Look at something down here, where we see the desert and the phenomenon of the bolognese. And here in this area, the phenomenon of the desert blooming begins. And at this point, the two phenomena meet. Look how amazing this is here. This crater is nothing more, nothing less than a baleine. I know it's hard to imagine, but until a few years ago, this area, exactly where I'm standing, was covered by the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea, its level drops every year. We're talking about a drop of 1 to 1.5 meters a year. And it's obviously dropping all around its perimeter. But in this area here in the north, in the Engedi area, in Neglim, where it drops, these craters are growing and forming. And many of these craters are filling with water. And that includes fresh water and fish. So look here where we are. We can see a baleine here, even though it's dry, but it's still a baleine, and even inside it we can see vegetation. And back here, this whole area is starting to bloom. Behind me are 400 truckloads of Temple Mount soil that were illegally dumped in 1999 like trash. But 2 archaeologists refused to let it disappear. They rescued the soil and created the Temple Mount Sifting Project. Today, over 500,000 artifacts have been recovered. Pottery from Solomon's temple, coins from Jesus' time, pieces of history that were meant to be lost forever. Now you can be part of this rescue mission, get authentic Temple Mount soil delivered to your door, and help keep biblical archaeology alive. Scan the QR code or use the link below. And now, Shlomi, can you explain to us from a physical standpoint how this flowering is happening here in the desert?
What's happening, Aline, is that we're now in winter. And winter is a season when the temperatures here drop. The temperatures here are around 20 degrees. In the summer, it almost reaches 50 degrees. Now, besides the fact that it's winter, it rained here. Some time ago, it rained over the Dead Sea in the desert, which allowed the ground here to receive fresh water. And suddenly we saw the growth, this blooming that we haven't seen in previous years. And all of this brings us happiness, a joy that's hard to explain. For us, it's a sign of salvation. It's something that was dead, and suddenly it's growing and blooming and giving life. We know that now the animals and the ibexes will come and they'll have food. And that will give them the confidence to bring their young, and we'll see here a revival of life. Thank God for this gift that He gives us.
No, thank God, we're really witnessing something very special. Because if we look topographically, geographically, where we are is a desert. And to somehow get rain here clouds need to come all the way carrying rain from the Mediterranean Sea. The clouds need to be able to cross the Judean mountains, which are high mountains. So the clouds have to be able to get past all these obstacles, and only then can they cross into the desert. They have to reach this edge. This is literally where Israel ends and the Dead Sea begins. And then it has to rain here to really allow us to experience this truly unique phenomenon. But you told me before in secret that this isn't the greenest part of the region. I want to see even more. Can you show us? Let's go.
למקום נוסף.
Vamos lá. A short distance from the sea, on the edge of the desert, we see all this greenery growing and taking over the desert's edge. It's a wonder. It's a miracle. We're used to everything being dry and dead and brown, and slowly we see all this greenery growing and thriving, and everything is new, everything is fresh and growing. Being here feels like I'm in a green sea, a sea of plants swimming against the current. And really being at this level in the middle of the plants is very impressive. But I think this place is even more impressive when we look at it from the sky, with drone footage. For those who don't know, Shlomi and I each have our own drone. We're the ones who fly them. So when you watch our videos, all the drone footage we include is always filmed by us. But there's something even more impressive than the drone footage, and that's the satellite images. I want you to take a close look at them now. Notice that we can see Israel's borders through its vegetation. Let's show it now. Now let's zoom in and notice how you can clearly see Israel's borders. Now let's zoom in on the northern part of Israel. Notice that I intentionally didn't mark the borders, but just by looking at this image, can you imagine where the border is? Look carefully and pay close attention. I'm now marking the border between Israel and its neighbors, including Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. You could physically see in the satellite photos that Israel is significantly greener than its neighbors along all its borders. And the question is why? Because even in areas where Israel doesn't do intensive agriculture or active irrigation, like here, everything we've seen today, it's not that someone came here and planted or that someone came here and irrigated. All of this is growing naturally. So we can't explain this just because Israel does more farming. The neighboring countries also practice agriculture. So the question is, why then is Israel physically much greener and more in bloom? And we can look for an explanation in the Bible. I'll also be showing you the verses on the screen so you can follow along at home. But what the Bible tells us several times is that when the people are disobedient, when the people are punished, when the people are exiled, the land is also punished. When the people of Israel left their land for exile, the land began to dry up. I will make the land a desolate wasteland. I will put an end to the prideful power, and the mountains of Israel will be so devastated that no one will want to pass through there. They will know that I am the Lord when I have made the land a desolate wasteland because of all the abominations they have committed. And this cycle of sin, exile, and desolation of the land has repeated itself several times. First with the Assyrian exile, then with the Babylonian exile, and finally with the Roman exile, which happened in the year 70 after Christ with the destruction of all Israel, Jerusalem, and its temple. And did most of the people of Israel really get expelled from their land by the Romans? An exile that lasted almost 2,000 years, and we see that during this very long period of time, the land of Israel dried up and became unproductive. Even 100 or 200 years ago, before the creation of the modern state of Israel, in 1948, the land of Israel was sand, stones, dry soil, and wherever there was water, there were swamps. That's impressive because in places like Emekahula, where there was an abundance of water, swamps would form. So you really couldn't extract anything of agricultural value from the land. However, just as the prophets prophesied the exile and the expulsion of the people, in the same way they prophesied the return of the people to their land. And the prophets wrote the books. In what language, Beza Safar? In Hebrew. And we have a native Israeli right here with us, so now I want to ask Shlomi to read you the prophecies of the restoration of Israel, but in the original language in Hebrew.
And you, mountains of Israel, you will put forth your branches and bear your fruit for my people Israel. For they are about to come, for I am with you, and I will turn to you, and you will be tilled and sown, and I will increase the number of people upon you, all the house of Israel. And the cities that were destroyed will be inhabited, and the ruins will be rebuilt.
But you, O mountains of Israel, will produce branches and fruit for my people Israel, for they will soon come home. For behold, I am on your side and have looked upon you with favor. You will be plowed and sown, and I will multiply people upon you. The whole house of Israel, yes, all of it. The cities will be inhabited, and the ruins will be rebuilt. And I also want to read the continuation of this prophecy to you. And the land that was abandoned will be cultivated and will no longer be a desolate place in the eyes of all who pass by. Then it will be said, this abandoned land has become like the Garden of Eden. The cities that were deserted, abandoned, and in ruins are now fortified and inhabited. Then the nations that are left around you will know that I, the Lord, have rebuilt the ruined cities and replanted what was abandoned. I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will do it. And as it is written, it truly happened. The people of Israel did what seemed impossible by returning from exile to their land after almost 2,000 years. And then finally, in 1948, Israel managed to redeclare its independence and became the majority in the land again. And then right at that time, we see a natural turning point. The land of Israel, I mean really in the land from a place of deserts, dunes, and swamps, we start to see how the land really begins to become even more blooming and fertile. And I think that's also because the land of Israel is not just a land, it's a physical part of the covenant. Vered said that.
It grows here, and we have beautiful growth in the desert. Everything is green and good. This plant is special and interesting. It's called kubeza, that's its name. And it's edible, you can eat it. It also produces fruit, and the fruit is edible too. And what's really, really interesting is that it's called the bread of the desert.
Let's see here, the desert is young.
It's still small because it needs a little more time to grow. But this is the bread of the desert, and its fleshy flour is tasty and nourishing.
Look at this, guys. We're here, and at first glance, it might just seem like what we would call a weed, but actually, no, this is, as he said, the bread of the land, the bread of the desert. So really, the land is productive. Even where there isn't actually agriculture, things are growing here.
And it's important for me that we understand it's probably not just growing here for no reason or not just by chance. It probably also has a greater spiritual meaning than what we understand. It's not just that God gives life to the desert, He gives them life that can be used. If he made something grow here that we couldn't eat or use, he would be giving us something, but it probably wouldn't grow here.
And really, because of that, when we take the Bible and read it in the context of the land of Israel, things really start to gain meaning and even greater understanding. And because of that, with everything we've seen so far, I want once again together with you to read Isaiah 35. The desert and the dry land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom like a narcissus. It will be covered with flowers. It will shout for joy and rejoice. It will receive the glory of Lebanon, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. Strengthen the weak and feeble hands, steady the trembling knees. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not be afraid. Here is your God. Vengeance is coming, God's retribution. He is coming to save you. For waters will burst forth in the desert and streams in the wilderness. The scorching sand will become lakes, and the dry land will turn into springs of water. Where jackals used to live, grass will grow with reeds and rushes. And there will be a road there, a way that will be called the Holy Way. The unclean will not pass through it, for it will be only for the people of God. Whoever walks this path, even if they are foolish, will not get lost. The redeemed of the Lord will return and come to Zion with songs of joy. Everlasting joy will crown their heads. They will be filled with joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing will flee from them. We see how the prophet Isaiah speaks in detail about the rebirth of the land of Israel. That the land will blossom, that the land will rejoice, and that the people will return to their land. And there are also other details of the prophecy that we didn't even have time to get into today because there was so much we wanted to show you. But we also heard that the prophecy speaks of jackals. And here around us, in this area, there are several families of jackals living. And what you are now seeing on the screen are images that Shlomo took here nearby a few days ago. But now I want to ask you, with everything we've seen today, I want to know if you believe that all of this here is connected or not to the fulfillment of the prophecy of Isaiah 35. You can leave your thoughts here in the comments, everyone. And now I want to give a very special thank you to Shlomo and Lubaton for joining us today. And don't forget to follow him on social media. The links are on the screen now and also down below in the description.
Thank you very much, Rabba Lachalini. Thank you so much, God, for the freedom to live, to see all the sin, to see the attachment.
Thank you very much to everyone who watched. See you next week.